actually going to talk about is a oldie but a goodie topic, which is upgrading.
Oh my God. Again, we talk about this so much, Ken.
Well,
It can't be that popular.
we live in an ever-changing world, right? Over 200,000 businesses running this.
On the fat part.
Or fat, what did I say, flat? Sorry.
If any of the operations that you're doing require the use of an outside processor or subcontract vendor, that is not supported with assembly.
Don't be afraid to talk to your partner.
Today, we're drinking Arrogant Bastard Ale.
Oh. I want to know why Jim picked this beer over the other one.
Because I really think it resembled, my personality more than anything else.
Level 3, Knuckles has been dispatched. He's on his way.
I think one of the benefits and detriments all at the same time is the visibility that it gave us into our actual data.
Welcome to another edition of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer.
Ken and Michael back for episode 27 of A Shot of Business Central and a Beer. Ken, can you believe we made it through 27 episodes?
Well, it's hard to believe. I believe I've made it through about 40 or 50 beers.
That's true. Yeah, we've had maybe more.
Seems like, yeah. But it's fun. I'm glad to be back. It's summer is upon us. We're heading here into the 4th of July weekend, which is always good fun.
Yes. And maskless. Everybody's been vaccinated. Well, not I don't know about everybody, but we've been vaccinated. So
yeah. Things are returning a little bit back to normal.
Yeah. Have you noticed any craziness when you go out into public?
I haven't. No craziness. No.
I went to Six Flags Great America. I tried to go to Six Flags Great America about a week or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like it. The wait to get in, they had police officers directing traffic in the parking lot. He said it's like 3 hours just to get in the place. I could not believe it. Everybody is just so happy to be outside doing their thing. So,
yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a nice weekend. Maybe hit the beach.
Yeah, hopefully.
Do some grilling out. Might smoke some stuff.
There you go.
Smoked salmon maybe, or
nice
pork shoulder.
Yeah, maybe you get to take a day or two off or whatever.
maybe have a beer or two.
Maybe. Just don't break out that non-alcoholic beer on special occasions.
No. Not for the holiday weekend for sure. So what are we drinking today?
Well, I went into Binny's, and Binny's actually was pretty packed. And usually for some reason when I go into Binny's, you walk in and for me it's on the right-hand side and they got like this aisle of craft beers of everything, right? But in the middle of the aisle, they always put the bottled beer. And I always for some reason tend to gravitate towards the canned craft beers. So this time I was like, you know what? I'm getting a bottled beer for once in my life. You know what I mean? I like drinking out of a cold bottle, so I'm going to try it out. Anyway, this one caught my eye because I was watching this show about Kentucky aged, barrel whiskey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I walked past, and this one is called Kentucky Vanilla Barrel Cream Ale, established 1999. It is a cream ale with natural flavors, which does anybody ever know what that means? And it aged in oak bourbon barrels. So right off the bat, I thought to myself, this is a high alcohol content beer.
Right. Typically you hear bourbon barrel aged, you think like 10%
yes.
or 12%
right.
alcohol.
Or more. But surprisingly, I think it's only what, 5.5%. 5.5%.
Yeah.
It smells great to me.
It's like kind of like a wheat ale. Kinda.
I'm getting like cotton candy infused with beer at a carnival for some reason.
You can taste that vanilla. Is that what you?
The vanilla. Yeah, I get the vanilla a lot.
More vanilla than horse blanket.
Yeah. No horse blanket in this one. Maybe I should be drinking out of a glass, but here we go. First sip.
It's kind of like a darkish, what kind of brown?
Yeah.
Color. Decent amount of head on it.
Yeah. Honestly, not that bad. Not as sweet as I thought it was going to be.
No.
Judging by the smell.
Right. The vanilla is not as strong as I anticipated.
No.
So Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like it. Not too shabby. I don't know too much about this company. What is it? Lexington
Lexington.
Brewing
Yeah.
Distillery.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it's out of Lexington, Kentucky.
It says we took a cold conditioned cream ale brewed with a hint of flaked corn and bourbon vanilla beans. Aged it in a freshly decanted bourbon barrels for at least 6 weeks. Medium body, 5.5% alcohol by volume, makes it the perfect barrel aged beer for any all day event.
Wow. So I'm having a hard time believing though that it only has 5.5% alcohol then. I don't know how they're able to do that. But I like it so far. We'll see what happens as it
Yeah.
warms up.
The ratings say, one rater said, cream, and more cream. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's all my nose can detect.
The nose,
I'm like,
I get the vanilla.
I get a little cream, but it's more of like, it just smells to me like a wheat ale.
You don't get a lot of the vanilla?
Not as much. No, not as much as I thought.
Oh, I get a lot.
Rater 2 here from beeradvocate.com that I made note of says sweet vanilla aroma, bold vanilla body, perhaps too bold. See, I don't
get that either.
agree with that. And then the last one says initially sweet, then the combination of oak and bourbon make for a slightly harsh and bitter finish.
I definitely don't agree with that one.
The IBUs is 18, which is
Yeah,
a very
nothing.
low.
Right, yeah.
Right? So it's, I don't get much bitterness.
So talk about contrasting styles, whatever. One person's sweet and too vanilla, too creamy, and the other one's just too bitter.
Right. So what that tells me is that, it's like it's a personal opinion, personal choice and taste.
Right. Maybe, yeah. We all have different taste buds or whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, I definitely get the sweet vanilla smell. I don't get it as much in the taste, but to me, the smell is.
You know what I'm actually
smell
glad
is.
I haven't done yet is I haven't like really fallen in love with like a beer like this.
Okay.
Like, could you imagine if this just became my favorite beer, like something like the Kentucky vanilla barrel cream ale was like, this is it for me. This is all I'm going to be drinking for the rest of my life. Can you imagine how hard that would be then? Like, a year from now or 3 years from now, trying to find it.
Yeah. Or even having any beer street cred, telling your friends this is your favorite beer.
Well, that too, right? From practical terms, I'm thinking of like, how do I get my hands on this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that Benny's carries once in a while, or if, for all I know, they could have it all the time. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
Or maybe like the worst case scenario for me would be like, they found out that IPAs cause cancer or something. Like
Life's over.
and so like all IPAs or American
Just
pale
gone.
ales are out. Can't drink them anymore. That would be devastating.
It'd be pretty devastating to a pretty big industry too. Not just you.
Yeah, go back to the Pilsners.
Yeah. All right. So while we continue to sip on the Kentucky Vanilla Barrel Cream Ale, let's kind of move right into the Shot of Business Central segment.
Yeah.
So for news, 18.2 was released. I think 18.1 was released by the time we had talked about
last
last
month.
podcast. Or,
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So,
Yep. Yeah, we went through 18.1. Yep.
yeah, I mean, I got the main talking points about it, but I know Ken dove in and counted the hot fixes and the platform fixes.
I did.
So how many of those do we have?
Yep. So, and I kind of, and this is true of most of the minor updates that come out from month to month to month. That if you look under the hood, it may seem to you like maybe there's just one new feature or one change or something they changed, but really those are the new features that they sometimes put in. But like usually, for example, in this one, there's over 100 hot fixes included.
Yeah.
So there's 12 platform hot fixes, 57 application hot fixes, 32 localization hot fixes.
Right.
And those are for different regional or country deployments of Business Central. Actually, so in this one, 18.2 had 0 localization hotfixes for North America.
Yeah.
So, and then also 9 of those, there's 9 regulatory hotfixes. So it looks like what they're starting to do now, before they used to put the regulatory,
Yeah.
those are for like tax laws or rules, right? Governmental type things. They used to include those just within the localization.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've never seen that before where it was separated.
And it looks like what they're doing is they're gonna start breaking those apart. So you can see, which I like, because the regulatory hotfixes, those are important, right? Like in the US market, regulatory hotfixes would relate to like 1099 filing, or maybe sales tax or something like that. So those would be like examples of regulatory hotfixes.
Nice, real nice. So, well, then what I got is, I guess the first one we can start with for the update is that now all customers can now receive upfront email notifications 7 days in advance and schedule minor updates for Business Central within 21 days. Once again, it doesn't really pertain to North America customers. This is more global. The US, I think, had this in 18.1.
Yeah. Or is this saying that now you can set up notifications and schedule your minor updates? Because I don't.
Yes, minor.
Could
Did I
you
say major?
Yeah, but previously you could schedule your major updates? I don't know that you could schedule your minor updates.
I think in the last update,
You could.
they
starting
put it out
last
there.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's what's new, is that now they finally fully launched this out that you can.
Right. So 18.1 was the feature presentation or introduction of it.
Yeah.
And it would primarily apply to the US. Now it's global. Also, you introduced this. I saw new ways of working with Business Central and Power BI. Anything you want to talk about with it, or I can go ahead?
Yeah, so I think this is really important. So, what's happening is more and more people are deploying Business Central online, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to integrate any type of system with Business Central Online, you have to use, up until this point, you've had to use web services.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like, that was kind of the go-to integration. You just publish a page or code unit in Business Central Online, and then you can use that to integrate.
Yeah, but it had problems with
the performance.
And,
The performance of it, and if you were pulling a huge data set, it was taking a long time. So there's always been a while back they introduced Business Central APIs. APIs are similar to web services. They kind of operate and you set them up in a similar way, but they work significantly more efficiently.
Yeah.
So better performance. So now what you can do is you actually can integrate from the Power BI desktop. You can set up a new data set that points to a Business Central API instead of a Business Central web service.
Which anybody who's ever had any trouble refreshing Power BI and whatnot is going to love this.
Yep. And now you do, one of the notes in the release notes for 18.2 says, you do need to update your Power BI desktop app because there's some changes that they had to make within the Power BI desktop to actually enable or support this integration with the APIs.
Yeah, so that makes sense. All right, next up, about title and about text properties. Microsoft has updated AL reference docs with plenty of details, including the list page combinations where the about properties have different or no effect. This is all Greek to me.
Me as well.
Okay. But it's out there.
I'm sure it's meaningful for someone.
Yeah, looks like development and whatnot. All right, moving right along. Next up is support for migrating data from earlier on-premise versions of Business Central to 2021 Release Wave 1. Microsoft talked about it in the past, especially when the 2021 Release Wave 1 came out, saying that only certain versions could be upgraded to Business Central Online. But now it looks like that I think every version, right? 14, 15, 16, or 17.
Yeah. So if you're running on-premise versions of Business Central, there's a cloud migration tool. You can go straight from 14, 15, 16, or 17 to Business Central Online in one single step.
It's nice. So if you're running Business Central 13.
It is, and it may not, it may not seem like a big deal.
No, it is.
Unless you're going through that process. Right? Because if you were on version 15, let's say, or 14, and you wanted to go to Business Central Online from your on-premise environment, you would otherwise first have to go through all the steps to upgrade your environment to version 18 and then migrate to Business Central Online. Right? So the elimination of that step is saving companies that are going through this process a significant amount of time and money.
Yep. Without a doubt. Very, very nice. Well, I think those are the major updates for 18.2. Got anything else we missed out for 18.2?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, one other point that I want to bring up is, and Ken told me that this was part of like the release. I don't know if it's 18.1 or 2021 release wave 1 is actually tried it. And I'm a marketing guy, so I don't get to try these things out too much with customers and whatnot. But partners can now install apps for customers while going through the Partner Center. So if you're logged into Partner Center, you can go into App Source, download the app, and actually install it into your customer's Business Central environment. Where before, you really couldn't, right? They had to do it, or maybe you had to have some login credentials, something like that. But it makes it a lot easier for partners now.
Yep. There's a few other things too, along with that. So when 18.0 came out, they were saying that that they would be releasing more administration tools for partners. So that was one example. Like, as a partner, we could not help end users installing apps. They had to do that. Another thing is, even when you set up a new environment, the partner was not able to change it from the Essentials version to the Premium version. Right. And the Premium version is required if you're doing manufacturing or you want to use service management. So servicing equipment. So those, and there's a few other things too that partners couldn't do that now, based on feedback from the partner community, Microsoft has made these changes.
I was one of them. I always had to create a new user when you set up a new customer or whatever, and then create a new user so you could switch the service management or whatever. It was terrible.
And then it was like, okay, you have to provide instructions to someone. Okay, go into company information, change your.
Right, which is why I would just create a user and do it myself for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. What do we got going on here?
App Source.
Oh, you want to talk about App Source? The App Source has been updated, and Ken has been itching to give his review of the new App Source update.
Yeah. So if anyone's gone to the App Source page recently, you've noticed that there's a new look and feel. Kind of a new user interface in App Source. They've kind of reorganized the searching and filtering a little bit. It says that they've improved the ratings. And feedback or whatever.
So the look and feel is okay. Right? The filtering, it's nothing new, right? You can't filter by new apps yet. So you don't know. The ratings.
So what I found, so I always try to put my I know that I do this every day, right? I live and breathe this stuff. So I always try to put my just normal partner
bias
hat on and say, let's just pretend like I'm coming here for the first time. I'm looking for an app. How do I do this? What would I look for? To me, it's there's filters over on the left side where like my instinct was to go there and search for my app. Right. Like if I want to look for a credit card app, I would start typing credit card, and I find credit and collections, but that's maybe not what I want. I'm not sure if it's what I want. It's really like that's the section where I would say, well, I really want my products. I want Business Central, right? And then there's a search bar up on the very top of the page, and it says search App Source apps. And so if I type it in there, then I get different results. Than when I had searched over on the left side by category.
Right.
of credit and collections. So that just be
Yeah.
aware
now-
there's two search.
So we're actually looking at it now. So if you click the app source on the left-hand side there, Ken, remember the homepage used to be kind of dark. Yeah, click that. Does it take you to the homepage? So this is actually different too, right?
Yeah.
The homepage before had none of the categories listed.
So the app source homepage, yeah, there's
Yeah.
app source / home.
Right.
They've reorganized this page, so you can choose by category of product. There's a bunch of little buttons you can pick, like geolocation, human resources, marketing, customer service, finance, or you can search by industry,
Yeah.
agriculture, government, automotive, or by products. And there you have Dynamics 365, Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and web apps.
Now, if you click up at the top where it says more, top left, up, go to consulting.
Oh yeah, they've kind of hidden the consulting
Mhm.
services up on the very top
Yep.
bar.
Now let's go to, now if you scroll down here, look, you see Dynamics 365 for sales, field services, customer service, operations, financials, Power BI. But what do you not see?
Business Central
What is going on here? The most popular ERP software
in the
Microsoft-
world
Yes.
ever.
Why is it not listed up here?
That is interesting. We didn't set any filters, did we?
No, not at all.
That's,
Hopefully you can get it from the products on the side, right?
you know, and you wonder why we Business Central people, you know,
Yeah, get upset with certain things.
feel like, you know,
Yeah,
we're not getting.
we're not getting a date to prom.
Right? Yeah. Right, you've got sales, field service, customer service, operations, financials, Power BI, Power Apps. No Business Central. Huh,
Hopefully it's,
well. That sounds like a good, oh, there we go. There's some, there are a bunch out here. There's a ton.
yeah, you just gotta use the filter on the left-hand side.
Yeah, 482 consulting service offerings for Business Central.
Yeah.
So there are plenty out there. So I think, you know, again, it's a step in the right direction. It's an improvement. They're making changes. Some of them seem good. Some of them seem just like they did it to
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah, right, I mean, okay, the improvement, I don't know, what is the improvement, right? They move some stuff around, change the look and feel. I mean, what's the added functionality? They took off Business Central on the homepage, consulting services.
That homepage, I guess on the homepage, you can search by
Yeah, there you go.
category of software or industry or by product.
Right,
Microsoft product.
all right,
So I give them points there.
Yeah.
But inside of that, it's just it's a little bit cleaner look maybe.
yeah, it's brighter, it's not black on the homepage, the dark screen.
You know, so
But they need to add, and I don't know what Microsoft is waiting for, to be able to filter by date added of apps, right?
Mm,
You like apps, especially people like us, we want to see what was new in the past month.
what are
You
the
know,
new
check it
apps
out.
out
Right,
there?
exactly, what,
Because I'm running Business Central. I'm happy with everything I'm running,
right,
but
could it be
I
better?
don't know what new
Yeah,
stuff is out there. What are the
exactly.
new apps that maybe we should be looking at? If I don't do that, let's see, how do I go? Let's just go.
Oh, wait a
right
minute,
here.
if you click Dynamics 365,
Dynamics 365.
oh, it doesn't tell you what, it doesn't bring you to like a product list right there?
No, let's see. What I just want to see is how many. There are currently almost 1,600 apps out there.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but I don't have time to filter through 1,600.
Exactly.
To see what's new. So, yeah, I agree. I'd like that to say.
Right, because,
You know, new, like there should be, or some sort of way to look at new products.
right, because let's say you were exploring payroll applications 7 months ago and you didn't like any of them, okay? So you ended up trying to do payroll in-house and became a huge cluster of problems. Now, right? Now you want to, you know, see if there's been anything added to the payroll solution, if there's anything new,
Right.
you know, and you don't, you know, unless you actually go through all the payroll apps.
Yep.
Which payroll might not have been the best example because
No, I think that
4 or
would-
5.
That's a good example that would potentially turn into a nightmare doing it on your own internally, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. So, especially here in the US. But yeah, so there, but you know, I look at it this way though, you know, any changes and improvements are good news because it means that Microsoft is focusing efforts on Business
Yes.
Central Online and the related products.
Yes.
To it.
Yeah, I got to give Microsoft kudos with that for sure. They're always continuing to try to improve their product, change some things. They're definitely on top of their game with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, well, let's talk about it.
ISV, yeah, let's talk about, so there's, you may have come across some information about what's referred to as the ISV Connect program. And the ISV Connect program is something that came out, and I thought I had it sitting here somewhere. So the ISV Connect program is touted. There's the message is that it's a new way for partners to market their apps. So whether they're building like a vertical solution or whatever on Dynamics and Power Platform, it's an improved way. ISV it stands for Independent Software Vendor.
Right. So
that means these are the app developer companies or partners that are building these apps. So there's a new program. For the purposes of our podcast here, which we focus on Business Central, just all we need to know is that the ISV Connect program, it appears that it currently is not related to Business Central.
Gotcha.
There's Connect tools available for Dynamics 365 customer engagement, finance and operations, and Power Platform.
Okay, so maybe geared towards the larger
right.
Corporations out there.
Correct. Yeah. So currently, at least, right? Sometimes Microsoft comes out with these new programs, and they'll deploy them for one product or segment or whatever, and then once maybe if it's really successful, they continue to roll it out to other products.
Yeah.
So maybe down the road, the ISV Connect program is something that we'll see in Business Central, but today,
smart,
not really applicable for what we're doing.
It's smart for Microsoft, right? There's more money in the larger corporations, so so why not? And I think we got one more piece of advice, and that is Windows 11 has been announced. I do not believe that is capable or available for download yet, but Satya Nadella and team announced it, and they're claiming that it is October 20th. So October 20th looks like it's going to be available.
Yep.
But it looks like everything is more integrated. Microsoft Teams is heavily integrated through Windows 11, according to everything that I've read. So hopefully, maybe Business Central gets integrated a little bit more. The apps work a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe some. I can only imagine, I guess, what it could be.
Yep, and obviously it's really early on, and there's not too much information out there. But what I did come across is it said that anyone, if you're using Windows 10, Windows 11 is just going to become available as an update.
Right.
That you'll go through. So it'll almost be like you're just going through a regular update. It's not like you have to go out there and purchase it or right
download kind of how Windows 10 was.
Download it yourself, right?
Windows 10 was an update, I think.
Right? So, yeah. Yeah. So it's just something that's gonna, if you've got updates turned on, it'll just download it, maybe starting in late October, and automatically update your device.
And with Windows 11, an all new Microsoft Store has been developed where you can get your apps and all your entertainment fixes together. So be on the lookout.
There is an insider preview now available for download. If you're kind really
beta,
if you're really into checking that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, not something I want to push the boundary with and have to deal with all the issues with
that. No, thank you. Yeah, I think
maybe our IT department.
Windows 10 seems to be working fine for me.
All right, so I think that's about it for Business Central News.
Yeah.
So next up, we are going to probably talk about an app called 365 Address Verification. So stay tuned and see what you think.
Hey everybody, in this segment we're going to take a look at the address verification apps that are out there for Business Central on AppSource. So if you go out to AppSource, address verification is something that, could be very important, right? You have many different users who are entering new customers, who are entering new orders and entering shipping information in on a customer's address. And, if you have a customer who, whether you typed it in incorrectly or they gave you a wrong address, and then you end up shipping a package to that address, that's a negative experience for the customer. They get upset, right? Obviously, there's cost involved to you.
Yep.
So, those are some of the key reasons why it's important that the addresses that you enter into Business Central, particularly for customers and ship to addresses, that those are accurate and valid addresses. So, right.
Yeah, correct. I wrote down a couple other reasons too. All companies, or a couple other reasons why all companies need accurate supplier information. You may never have to have an employee go to a vendor unless, there's an emergency or whatever. But if there is an emergency, having the correct address on file is going to save you a major headache. You also might need to send some documents to suppliers. Organizations also need correct contact details of employees, right? To send documents, to deliver goods. And who knows, you maybe got an employee traveling somewhere and something happens and you need to help them get to the correct address or whatnot. You need to have correct address on file. And like you said, just customer addresses need to be correct for marketing documents and, and to send invoices especially, right?
You always love talking about marketing. Marketing and
Gotta throw it in there. Yep.
Gotta
Gotta
be-
throw it in there.
gotta get those flyers.
Yeah.
Promotional information to them.
So I know there's a bunch of different AppSource apps out there for address validation. I went and chose the 365 business address validation app to give it a shot and try it. Some are paid, some are free. So I picked this one. I went through the installation process. It was pretty simple. Downloaded the app from AppSource, went to their API setup page, chose which address validations I wanted to have this program run on. And then I went through and registered it, which get me the authentication key, which works off the Microsoft Azure API, address verification, whatever they call it. So, and then came the fun part of actually trying it out. So to try it out, what I did is I created a new customer, went in, put the wrong address in, excuse me, and it validated it and popped up that it was the wrong address. But from there, and Ken can attest to this as well, that's kind of when the problems began. So the idea is good to test the address, but it showed multiples of the same address to validate the wrong address. It will not let us update, or it doesn't even recognize the state that you put in or the country code.
It actually tries to remove it.
It does remove it. Yeah, if you don't actually enter it manually, it does remove it. But it's kind of weird that it doesn't recognize the state or country code. I mean, especially the state code for the US, that's a huge part of address validation. But yeah, the only other thing.
Free though.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Yeah, it was free. The app is free to download. There is, I guess, some cost associated with being able to get the API information. When Ken, my trusty co-host, clicked it and tried it just to see to
Upgrade
the subscription, it returned the message saying, "Hey, you're upgraded." No pricing, no nothing, and
right.
So who knows what?
No
happened.
idea.
Yeah, you might have just bought a $5,000 subscription. We don't know.
Right.
All in all, it's a fail in my book. It didn't work. The idea is good. This one just didn't work.
Yeah, and this was just one of them that's out there, right? Like in AppSource, I lost it. There's a bunch of address. So if you go into AppSource, filter on Business Central,
Yeah, there's probably
you'll see that there's a large number of address verification apps that are out there, and some of them are free.
Yeah.
Some of them require a subscription.
Yeah, and also we noticed one of them, excuse me, one of the free ones, instead of using the Microsoft Azure API, actually uses the UPS address book,
Right.
which is pretty intriguing. It seems like it might be maybe more up to date and actually work a little bit better. We didn't get a chance to try that one, but it's definitely one that we'll try
Yep.
somewhere along the line.
Yep. And there's also like some shipping solutions. So, if all you're looking for is address verification, there may be one of these address verification apps that are out there that you can use. And maybe they're free, or there's a very low monthly subscription cost to use an API.
Right.
We're not sure. But also there are some shipping apps that are out there also for Business Central that include address verification. One that we've used before is the Shipping Connector app. And that's like an integration with UPS World Ship and FedEx Shipping Manager. And it includes an address verification feature capabilities.
Sounds accurate.
So those are some options that are out there. Either way, my recommendation would be, it's easy to go out there. All of these, I believe you can install them and there's a free trial. So get them installed and go test it.
Right.
Enter like you did, Michael, enter some fake addresses or intentionally enter one portion of the address wrong and see when does it validate it? What does that user interface look like? What choices does the user have to correct that address?
Right. And, you might make some mistakes too. Like, I'm not a Business Central power user. I'm just a marketing guy. So I'm just like everybody else when it comes to Business Central. I installed the app. I went through the first time, tried it, and I was not able to get the authentication key. So I figured, I just had to pay for it to get the authentication key. Ken actually went through and found that you have to actually click registration within the address verification page. I did not know there was nothing. The setup page, there was nothing to prompt me to do that. So, it might work, it might not work, but give it a shot. It's free. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah. The good news is there's multiple choices out there. Again, if you're using a shipping solution, it may already include address verification, but I think it's especially if it's free or very low cost, it's certainly I think it's worth it to know that those addresses, because we want Business Central to become your central repository, right, of all business contacts. I've got all my contacts in there, my customers, my vendors, whoever it is. We want to make sure that we've got all the accurate information there, especially because nowadays, if I could take it to to your point, why is it important? I'm on my phone, right? I've got the Business Central app on my phone. If I'm driving out to visit a customer, I can pull up that customer on my phone and hit map the route, and it will use the address to map through my phone's mapping app, right? To take me to where I need to go so I can get directions on how to get there.
But it's got to be the correct address.
You do not want to go to the wrong place.
Oh, too funny. Nobody wants to end up at Guaranteed Rate Field instead of Wrigley Field.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Man, killing me today.
All right, what do we got up next, Ken?
Well, we're gonna be talking about our spotlight feature in the next segment.
All right, stay tuned. It's secretive.
All right, and we're back. So for our quote feature segment today, what we're actually going to talk about is a oldie but a goodie topic, which is upgrading.
Oh my God. Again, we talk about this so much, Ken.
Well,
it can't be that popular.
We live in an ever-changing world, right? We've got, I don't know, what is there, 100, 200,000 companies running Dynamics NAV or old versions of Navision that are seeing some really slick functionality now in Business Central.
I just say, let's just skip the upgrading process. Everybody go with the re-implementation. That's my view, right? Start fresh, start clean, and it should all work out beautifully. What do you think?
Well, that's a loaded question, is what I think. And I think you know it.
Yes.
So the reality is that there's a lot of variables that go into that decision, right? You're looking at it. Let's say you're running NAV 5.0 or 2009. And you're like, hey, we really want to upgrade to Business Central. There are a variety of factors that you have to consider. Including, do I really need all of this historical data? Do I want all of this historical data
Right.
anymore? Also, what level of customizations have you done, right? And will all of those need to be recreated?
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Maybe you don't know the answer. I don't know.
Stump Ken.
Stump Ken, yeah. Is there a period of historical data that you recommend people keep their information from? Like, is there a 5-year period, a 10-year period, or is it just whatever the company feels safe with?
Yeah, usually it's kind of like a personal preference thing. The rule of thumb, though, is generally the IRS is going to be the determining factor.
Gotcha.
And for most things,
Probably.
the limit is 7 years.
Gotcha.
They're generally not going to go beyond 7 years for historical purposes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to upgrade 7 years of data into your current ERP. It could be that you keep NAV available and up and running so that people can go into the old version for historical data lookup. And then you only bring over into Business Central your current data.
That's pretty common, right?
Open transactions,
Yeah.
and you kind of start building up fresh history.
But it's pretty common to have a separate version of I guess a separate version of NAV running for a period of time or whatever.
Yeah, well, there's 2 ways that you can go from an old version of NAV to Business Central, right? One is let's call it a traditional upgrade. Traditional upgrade, we are going to bring all of the data and all of the customizations forward into the latest release.
Okay.
So you're not going to lose anything. The other type of upgrade is where you're effectively a re-implementation upgrade, where you're saying, we're going to just take selected data, maybe just our customers, our items, our vendors, maybe GL history, maybe posted sales invoice history, but that's about it. And then we're going to just start and then bring over OpenAR, OpenAP, on-hand inventory and start fresh.
Now, to me, who is, like I said, not a Business Central power user, it almost sounds easier to do the re-implementation or the new implementation, whatever you want to call it, over an upgrade. Am I wrong on that?
Easier for who is the question, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do a traditional upgrade where you're going to bring over all your data and all your customizations as they exist in your current version, I would tell you that is a much lighter ask of the users, the key users and the end users, because all the technical people, right, are going to work on all of that behind the scenes effort,
right,
to get the data and get the objects and the customizations upgraded. So all you're really asking of the end users is log into this newly upgraded environment and try to do everything you do today and make sure you can do it. And it should work the same. I kind of say it's apples to apples, right?
So phase 1 then is basically just having it run exactly the same as it did before.
Yeah, that's a traditional upgrade.
Gotcha.
You're just saying, I have this environment here, it's on this old version. I want to upgrade everything I have to the new version. And it should work. Now it's may look and feel a little bit different because the screen
different
changes
features or whatever, yeah.
And there's new features, but what was there should work the same way. So
Gotcha.
it's really a pretty easy ask of the users to say, oh, you run this report, go run this report. You should be able to access it and run it, and you should get the same results as you do today, right? So think about that from a mental perspective. It's easy, right?
Yeah, especially just with user training. I mean, there's none really.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
It's just the new navigation, and that's it. Now, in a re-implementation where you're saying, we're not going to bring over everything. We're going to selectively pick which pieces of data we bring over and which customizations we bring over. There's a lot more thinking that has to go on, a lot more decisions that have to be made.
Right. So is this typically where a company might reevaluate their processes and stuff?
Correct.
Okay,
Inevitably,
they might make
that's
some changes.
inevitably that's what happens, right? You go, you know what? Since we're doing a reimplementation, we've always talked about changing our chart of accounts. Let's change our chart of accounts now.
Gotcha.
Or we've always talked about, changing how we manage sales orders or using blanket orders.
Yeah.
Let's do that now as we move into Business Central.
Yeah.
So what happens is you know, if you're not careful, you start, that's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You start to go down
Right.
and now you're rethinking everything.
I was to say, I can imagine customer or users or businesses reevaluating different extensions or apps that they're using at the time. Maybe they want to try something different,
Exactly.
which leads into different training and
Right.
maybe
And
some
now
other
that's
issues.
the whole
Exactly. Yeah.
process changes.
Right.
Right. And so you have to be now, there may be legit reasons why you want to do that, or you have to do that, right? Or it's time to do it now, but you just have to be aware that when you do that and you say, we're going to re-implement into Business Central, just be aware that there are those decision points.
Right.
And things that are going to come up, and it's going to be more time consuming for the people, the decision makers, the key users and end users at the company to maybe redefine those processes, test them out, make sure they work. Whereas in a traditional upgrade where you're going, look, we're bringing over everything as is into the new version, and then maybe we'll start using some of the new features. That's way easier.
Right.
Because you're just saying, oh, if you had that field, that custom field over in the old system, it should be in the same spot in the new system.
So in terms of NAV and Business Central, then, would you say that if you're running like NAV 2015 and you have a bunch of customizations, a bunch of object changes or whatnot, and you're thinking about upgrading to Business Central, or I guess evaluating between upgrading and reimplementation, the probably the most cost-effective way from just looking on the outside would probably be to upgrade to Business Central 14 as opposed to re-implementing to Business Central 18, right? Because the customizations and everything have to be changed to extensions and
yeah, the key factor of to what version do you upgrade to or how do you upgrade is the level of customizations that exist.
Right.
If you are lightly customized or even moderately customized, I think in those cases, it may be perfectly feasible and reasonable to just build those as extensions or apps in Business Central and do that. And we've completed many of those where, to the customer's perspective, we're just taking all their data, all their customizations, and in Business Central, it's working the same way.
Right.
Now, under the hood, there's a lot of work that's going on
Yeah.
to change all the technology there and everything. But in other instances, you know, where let's say a customer's been running on NAV for 15 years and they've had an in-house developer who's been building custom code, writing custom code for 15 years.
Right.
To try to take that environment and upgrade all of that into Business Central online or even on premise as extensions
Takes time.
Well, it's not going to be a 3-month project, right?
Right.
If it took you 15 years to develop all this.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just need to be aware of what, you know, so the key is, right, if you're running NAV, you need to look at what are these decision points that you need to consider, and then talk to someone, talk through someone who knows NAV and talk through these options. What are the options? What if we go this way? How long is it going to take if we go that way? What are the pros and the cons?
Now, Business Central too has made a lot of different changes and improvements, right? With upgrading and implementation, with the speed of which it you can actually upgrade and bring over your files and whatnot, right? Then they implement keys and
we talked about this earlier. So if you can get your environment to it, if you're running on premise and you want to do a traditional upgrade, if you can get your environment to Business Central 14 on premise with all extensions and apps, you now can run the cloud migration process to go to Business Central Online. So what I think has changed in the last year is there's a lot of development environment and technology changes that Microsoft has implemented that makes it almost a no-brainer to go to Business Central Online. Where once you're running Business Central Online, you never have to worry about upgrading again.
It's a gutsy statement.
Right, it is.
And probably one you might not have made
And
a year or two.
Again, we've done this multiple times.
Yeah.
I have confidence in it. And Microsoft with version 18, one of the key things. So if someone says, well, why a year ago, someone told me that we could never go to Business Central Online, that we should be running on premise. I would tell you that there's really only a couple reasons why you would ever not be able to run Business Central Online. One is you're a governmental agency, right? And maybe you have ITAR, military requirements, security requirements that does not allow you to run on a multi-tenant cloud environment.
Yeah.
So,
but you could possibly hosted like on Azure,
yeah,
right?
correct.
Okay.
You could run Business Central,
Single-tenant.
quote, on premise,
Yeah.
running on a private Azure cloud server. Yeah. But the Business Central Online environment that's updating automatically every month, right? There are certain organizations, if you're selling products to the military or your governmental agency, you can't do that.
Yeah.
The other reason would be that
Internet connectivity, if you're out in a dense area
that would
where
be one, right? Yeah, you don't have you need real-time access to the data, and you can't be reliant on the internet to access your data.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that we used to say, no, you really shouldn't go to Business Central Online, is if you had a lot of custom fields in your database,
right,
and then you had processes or reports that were based on those custom fields. Because up until Business Central version 18, we couldn't add custom keys or indexes to standard tables. But now with version 18, we can.
That's huge for time-wise.
Huge. So if you have 1 million entries in this table and you've added a custom field and then have a report that's based on that field, we now can add a custom key to that standard table. And that report now will run in 30 seconds instead of 3 or 30 minutes, right?
Wow, that's amazing.
And then the last legit reason that you may not want to go to Business Central Online is if you have some sort of integrations where you are using SQL Server tools for that integration, like SQL views or SQL triggers, or just a direct SQL queries and
Gotcha.
edits where you've written code. Because with Business Central Online, you have to use the web services and APIs. So again, when would we say don't upgrade to Business Central Online? It would be large integrations with using SQL Server, needing SQL Server database access, unreliable internet access, or the first one I said
was the object or the I can't remember either, to be honest with you.
oh, you're a governmental agency.
Oh, government, yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
governmental agency. Yep. Now, the third reason, the only other one, which again, Microsoft is addressing this, is you have a huge database, right? There was a limit on the database size, and Microsoft was kind of charging an arm and a leg if you wanted to add gigabytes to your database size. They've restructured all the pricing, which makes it now totally reasonable. If you've got a 400 gigabyte database, it's now significantly.
They even have bulk pricing,
right? Yeah. Bulk pricing, yeah. So that's not a factor. Large customizations with indexes on your tables and needing those, that's not an issue anymore. So the farther we go on every day
Yeah.
or every release, the less and less reason there is that you would want to continue running Business Central on premise.
Yeah. So right now then, as let's just say as a NAV 2015 or 2016 user, really your first thing that you need to question or decide is, do you want to end up keeping objects in your customizations and moving to Business Central 14, which would be the latest release date, or do you actually want to spend the time with the reimplementation and changing those customizations to extensions / apps and moving to a later version and also possibly a cloud
Correct.
version?
Yeah, and that's still in many cases, what you just said is upgrading to Business Central 14. And getting onto a supported release with a lot of cool new features, by the way, from what you had in your current version. And then planning on a future move to Business Central Online 18, 19, 20. That is a very good solution for a lot of companies, especially bigger companies with
endless amounts of customizations,
Yeah,
right? Object changes.
Yeah, so that's a legit option.
Yeah.
So I guess the takeaway is, you may have, here's my takeaway.
I'll give you mine then.
No, if you're considering upgrading and you're looking at making a decision, I wouldn't just, if someone says, here's what you should do, and this is really the only option that you have.
No.
I would dismiss that,
Yes.
right? I would at least ask for the backup to say, why do you say that? Why is that the best decision? And what other options are available? Because there are options, there's pros and cons, and you have to weigh those benefits and the risks and make a decision that's right for your organization.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask, right? I mean, as partners and people who have been doing this for a long time, you kind of get set in your own ways sometimes, and you automatically think that you know exactly what's best, but you might not. So my takeaway on this is, though, a little bit different than yours, and that is the cloud is here. It's the future, and you're probably going to be on it at some point within the next 5 to 6 years. So if you're listening, get ready for it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon.
No, not at all. All right. I want to talk a little bit quickly about this Kentucky Vanilla Barrel Cream. I am now on my second beer. As the first one warmed up, I did notice some more sweetness, some more vanilla tones. Still pleasant, nothing overpowering, nothing that made me say this is too sweet, like a Apple Orchard or Berry Weiss or whatever it may be. So I kind of enjoy it. It's not bad. It's not going to be my go-to beer ever, but what do you think?
I definitely, I'm getting, as you said, as it warms up, you get more flavor profile kind of kicking through. I'm picking up more of the cream kind of, less vanilla than I thought.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Interesting.
I guess it's there. I'm just picturing, things that I eat where it's like you can really like certain ice cream type of vanilla ice cream where you can really like taste.
I was gonna say
the
maybe
vanilla.
it's in your genes
Or
where
vanilla wafers.
yeah, there you go.
Like a vanilla wafer.
Yeah.
But I'm getting definitely I mean it's a cream ale, I would say, right? You get that kind of that smoothness in there. That's like a creaminess.
I think this beer would pair well with different foods. You might even be able to pair it with a vanilla pudding or something. You might get a little risky, the first beer we've ever had to pair with a dessert.
Like one of those, like little vanilla stick cookies.
Yeah, the little wafers
in there.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Stick wafer, vanilla wafer cookie in there.
Those are good. Yeah, definitely. So let's get to rating this. If I had to rate this, I'm gonna go with a solid 81. 81 is gonna be my rating. It's good, not great, definitely not bad. So, what do you think?
I'm gonna go. I wish I had my list. I think what I need to start doing is I need to start bringing in the list of all of my previous ratings.
Yeah, yeah,
So that I can kind of slot it
yeah.
into the right spot. Cause I feel like some days I'm just like in a generous mood
Right,
and
yeah.
other days I'm not. So it's like,
Good
if I
today, bad
looked
tomorrow.
back on it, I'd be like, wait, I gave that a higher rating than the other? How did I do that? So I think I'm gonna start doing that next month, when we get together.
So then are
But-
you going lower lately than normal because of this? Or
Well,
are you going higher?
I'm not sure. I don't even know. I don't even know.
I think I'm going
Um,
higher.
I'm gonna go to make sure it's not something that I've definitely picked before. I'm gonna say 76
Oh,
on this one. It's good. Like you said, if I've got nothing else to drink, I'll take one. But I definitely would go for like even just like a regular like Pilsner or lager, probably
before.
before before something like this.
Yeah.
Unless it was like specific, like a dessert. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like a dessert type beer.
Yeah, I think it's like a time and place type of a beer, right? It's not something you're just gonna pop just to have a beer. It's got to be a time and a place for it.
What I like about it is that it wasn't too strong. It's like 5.5%. I like that. You know, I thought it was gonna be like 11%, where so you just taste the booze. And I like that it wasn't overpowering and like the cream or the vanilla.
Yeah,
It wasn't terribly overpowering. So
I agree.
I liked it.
I think it's
Or the
one-
bourbon, right? I mean,
you don't really even taste the bourbon, to be
Right,
honest with you,
right.
for me. But I think this is one of the better smelling beers that we've actually had, to me. I know you don't smell the vanilla as much as I do, but I like it. Like you said, it's it's a time and place beer.
For
I'm
what
not
do you
gonna-
go? I went
I
76.
went 81.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe I'm high.
You usually
Maybe
are
I'm
high.
high.
You
Probably.
usually are high,
But I don't consider myself a beer connoisseur. All due respect, it's not filmed in Colorado, this podcast. Or recorded. But yeah, I probably go high on a lot of beers. But I don't drink a lot of beers.
So when you do, you enjoy it. That's
Good point, good point. All right, everybody. That wraps it up for episode 27 of A Shot at Business Central and a Beer. Keep sharing this, keep liking it, keep listening. We appreciate it. And stay tuned for some special guests and whatnot in the future. We'll
Keep safe. Hopefully next month when we're talking to everyone has all 10 fingers and haven't blown any off with fireworks.
Yep, been close a couple times, but happy 4th of July.
Bye-bye.
As we end today's podcast, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who listens, shares this podcast, and leaves us reviews. You've taken a good amount of your time out of your day, and we truly appreciate it. Thanks again. And don't be afraid to email us at marketing@solsyst.com with your tips for the podcast, or maybe you'd even like to be a guest during an episode.